To receive credit for a certificate of completion for ticket dismissal and/or an insurance discount, you must complete the registration process at WirelessDefensiveDriving.com as required by the Texas Education Agency. You may continue to access this information for entertainment purposes only, but unless you register, you will not receive credit or a certificate for insurance or ticket dismissal.
The following presentation is brought to you by WirelessDefensiveDriving.com. Hello, drivers everywhere, and welcome to Section 6. I'm your announcer, Microphone, and I'm coming to you live from the Terabyte Theater in downtown cyberspace. And now, here's your host, Chuck Sheffield.
Mike.
Chuck.
How are you doing today?
I'm great, and I hope you are too, because your mission today, should you decide to accept it, is to identify the physical forces that affect driver control and vehicle performance. But happily, you don't have to do that by yourself.
That does sound like a tall order, but you are right. I'm joined by my great panel, Tony Ramirez, Judy Truesdale, and Kathy Whiteman.
Hello there, Mike.
Hello.
Good to see you.
We're here to talk about forces that affect driver control and the way our cars perform, and I hope you all stay with me when I say the word physics to you.
Oh, please don't tell me that you expect us to know anything about physics.
Girl, I am with you. There was definitely a point when I could no longer help my boys with their physics or their calculus.
I bet this isn't scary physics. I bet this is just like a body in motion tends to stay in motion kind of physics that has to do with cars.
That's right, Tony. Increased speed makes the laws of physics become more and more important to the driver because these laws are absolutely binding. They control any and every object that moves.
So is it like friction, centrifugal force?
Hey, wait, how do you know this stuff?
I actually stayed awake in my physics class.
I'm impressed.
Me too, Tony.
We're all impressed. The laws that apply to driving include friction, centrifugal force and inertia, impact, and gravity. Now, this stuff affects your car, whether you're in the city or highway, because their significance increases proportionately with the speed at which you are traveling. Can anyone tell me how eyesight plays into this?
Well, it would seem that your eye needs enough light to see something it needs to see, like a street sign, and then it needs time for your eye to make it out. What I'm trying to say is the image needs to impose itself on your retinas and then be sent to the brain, and the driver then needs to react to whatever the sign is or traffic hazard or whatever.
Okay, this makes sense. Because if somebody is flying along at the speed of light and they pass signs that give warnings of curves, hills, intersections,
Or railroad crossings or intended maneuvers by other drivers.
right, then the driver has to recognize all signs and signals instantly, because if he's speed racer, the amount of time he actually has to look at them is shorter.
That's why all the signs and signals in the U.S. are standardized by shape and color and can reflect light to be seen at night. Now remember, it takes time to observe a sign, signal, or road condition and react to it. Reaction time for a given driver is fairly constant, but the distance traveled in this time is directly related to how fast he's going. And so, stopping distances and distances required for evasive action.
If Goofus is on the road.
Yes, these distances become greater.
Okay, that wasn't so hard. In fact, here's my summary so far. Slow down.
Everything is made worse by speed. Now, we're going to talk about traction.
Which you could be in if you don't do what we're telling you.
We're actually talking about the traction between your tires and the pavement, not your legs in a cast. First up is friction and stopping distance. Tony, can you tell our audience what is meant by friction with regard to driving?
Yes, I can. It's the force that opposes the movement of one surface over another, and it's how any vehicle moves in a straight line or turns or stops.
What? Wait, I don't think I got that.
That was a great definition, Tony. Let me see if I can add to it. This force, friction, is exerted entirely through four small friction areas. What are they, do you think?
Tires?
Yes, ma'am. If we assume that the average reaction time is 0.75 seconds, common sense tells us that the faster a car is going, the greater distance it will take for it to stop. Okay, now don't panic. Here comes some math.
Oh,
If
boy.
you're going 70 miles per hour, it takes about 3.5 times longer to stop than if you're going 40, which means that if you can stop within 100 feet at 40, you'll need 350 feet to stop when you're going 70 miles an hour.
I never thought about it that way, but that really is a difference.
Sure is. Now, panel, tell me some of the conditions that could exist that would make stopping distances lots greater or maybe even impossible.
Well, just off the top of my shiny bald head, I would say ice, Snow, rain, mud.
What about loose gravel or a rough surface? That slows you down.
And cruddy old bald tires.
All correct. What a panel.
Yeah.
Here's what you and our listeners need to realize. Because stopping distance increases more rapidly than speed, it is important to allow a greater distance between your car and the car in front of you as your speed increases. Okay, moving on to hydroplaning.
Didn't we already talk about hydroplaning, or did I dream it?
You probably are dreaming about defensive driving at this point, and we did touch briefly on hydroplaning, but we need to return to it briefly, especially as it relates to the laws of physics. Hydroplaning occurs when water on the roadway accumulates in front of your tires faster than the weight of your vehicle can push it out of the way. So the water pressure can cause your car to rise up and slide on top of a thin layer of water between your tires and the road. While hydroplaning, your vehicle rides on top of the water like a water skier on a lake. In less than a second, your car can completely lose contact with the road, putting you in immediate danger of sliding out of your lane.
And into the side of my car or a ditch.
Not a good outcome.
Chuck, excuse me for interrupting.
Oh, that's all right, Mr. Raffone. What's up?
There's a Myrtle Perry on the phone who says she wants to play a game.
Oh, well, we're not having a game right now, but I guess we could be. I'll talk to her. Hello, Myrtle. Are you there?
Hello. Is this the Dr. Laura show?
It's not, Myrtle, but why don't you stay on the line and see if you can answer a question?
But is this the number for the daily jackpot?
No, it's not. But, Myrtle, see if you can name one of the three main factors that contribute to hydroplaning.
Too much salt.
No, sorry.
Okay, give me a minute. Is it Gone with the Wind?
I'm afraid not.
Chuck, you are making fun of that poor woman.
I am not. I'm interfacing with our listening audience. Mrs. Perry, last chance. Hydroplaning cause?
I'm going to say the cost of oil.
I'm sorry, Myrtle. That's incorrect. But please call back again.
Right now, or should I wait?
You should wait 15 minutes.
Well, okay then.
Ooh, panel.
The speed of your car. The faster you go, the less wet traction you have.
All right. And since hydroplaning can result in complete loss of traction and vehicle control, you should always reduce speed, paying attention to traffic around you. Other factors, Judy, Kathy?
Well, your tire tread, like I said before, is if your tires are worn out or worn down, they can't grip the road, and you'll hydroplane like nobody's business.
You know, I bet the third one is how deep the water is, right?
Yes, you're all three right. Even thin layers of water can cause the loss of traction even at low speeds. Okay. Next up is the concept of inertia, centrifugal force. If at any time the traction or frictional force between that little tire surface area and the road surface is lost, control is also lost, and inertia or centrifugal force may determine the situation. Tony, can you tell us what is meant by inertia?
You can ask us questions, too. I didn't mean to be Mrs. Scared of Physics.
Oh, it's okay, Judy. You are helping. Okay. I got this one, though. Inertia means the tendency of a moving body, like a car, to keep moving in a straight line unless some outside force changes that direction or motion somehow.
Exactly. And what is meant by centrifugal force?
Well, it's like that ride at the fair where in a big round thing, I don't know how to describe it, but it spins so fast that you're slung up against the edge and the floor goes out from under you, but you don't fall because centrifugal force is holding you up.
Right. It's the tendency of a moving body turning around a center to fly away from that center. And you can demonstrate it by placing a weight on the end of a string and swinging it in a circle. If you let go of the string, or if it breaks, the weight on the end will leave the circular path and continue in a straight line.
Okay, now I'm going to sound stupid again, but how does this relate to a car?
Tony, you got this one?
Are you trying to cause a little intra-panel competition?
Not at all.
It's okay, Judy. I'll take this one, too.
Oh, I feel so
A
foolish.
similar effect can happen to a turning car. As it goes around the curve, it has to overcome the centrifugal force in order to make the turn. If the force is greater than the friction between the tires on the road, the car will not be able to turn and will go skidding off the highway, I think.
You think right. The key point is that friction increases with speed, but the centrifugal force increases even more rapidly. The faster your speed or sharper the turn, the more likely it is that you will not be able to make the turn safely.
So, of course, slow down, especially if the road is a little slippery.
And brakes should never be applied after entering a curve. This reduces the friction between the wheels and the road. And remember, friction enables you to move your car, control it, and stop it. So when you consider that for each tire area, touching the road surface is about equal to the size of your hand, you can see that many factors can cause loss of friction and result in loss of control. Now, the greater the speed, the greater the possibility this may happen, and the greater the consequences. Speed must always be adjusted to suit road conditions.
Doesn't the angle that the road is banked through the curve have something to do with whether you can make the turn safely? Sorry, I know that wasn't a great sentence structure, but...
That's okay. You were spending time in physics instead of English class.
Yeah, you were.
The easiest is a banked turn, similar to a racetrack. Second place is a flat road surface, but it's dangerous at high speed. Now, the toughest is a crowned surface, which can only be negotiated at low speeds because the car is tilted against the direction of the curve.
Well, isn't there usually a speed sign posted when you're going into a sharp curve, telling you the speed at which the curve may be taken safely?
Are you mocking my bad sentence structure?
No, sir, that is just how I talk.
Let's keep the momentum going and talk about momentum. What is meant by that term? Kathy?
I think it's just the force of a moving object, proportional to its weight and speed. Yes, I just said proportional.
Atta girl.
Then that's exactly right. When you're driving, both you and your car have acquired momentum that's proportional to the weight of your car and its speed. If you increase your speed from 10 miles per hour to 20, you double your car's momentum. If you increase it from 10 miles to 50, you increase your car's momentum 5 whole times.
I'm feeling like I might be too scared to drive home. I'm going to be self-conscious about every turn I take.
Well, you can't be too careful. When you make a controlled stop, the momentum of your vehicle must be overcome by what 3 forces?
Is it like... Oh, never mind. I don't know. I don't know why I grabbed the floor.
I don't know either. I mean, it must be friction.
I think one is the friction force of your brake.
Right. The second is the friction force between what and what?
Your tires and the road?
Yes, ma'am. And the third, anyone?
You got me.
I don't know.
The compression force of your engine.
I'd never thought of that.
That's it, though. When you're in a crash, the momentum and kinetic energy of your vehicle and body must be absorbed, which results in, well, what 3 things? Anyone?
Heat, injury, and your car getting all twisted around into shapes not found in nature.
Yeah.
Good job. Okay, next topic. Kinetic energy and the force of impact. If you lose control of your car, you usually smack into something, either another car or a fixed object like a wall or an embankment. The all-important variable is this situation, force of impact, because here's the deal. The force of impact itself is a function of the speed and the weight of the car. If you triple the speed of the car before you hit something, the force of impact is how many times greater do you think?
Well, it would seem like 3. Triple the speed, triple the force of impact.
You know what? I bet it's more.
It is more. Ready? 9 times.
Wow. 3 times the speed, 9 times the force of impact? Crazy.
Yep. Weight also has a part to play here. If the weight of the vehicle doubles, the force of impact doubles too. The total result of doubling the speed and the weight of the vehicle would be to increase the force of impact 8 times. Therefore, any collision would necessarily be 8 times as damaging. In effect, the impact of hitting a solid object at 30 miles per hour is like driving off a 3-story building.
Which I always try to avoid.
And that's good. Now, who can tell me what highway engineers use, what techniques I mean, to reduce the force of impact in cases of unavoidable contact with surrounding objects?
Is this like those smooth metal guardrails?
Exactly like smooth metal guardrails. They allow the car to glance off rather than to hit solidly. What else?
Wide road shoulders that don't have stuff like trees or culverts or bridge abutments.
Righto, they help reduce the hazard. Where there just have to be light and sign standards, those poles are designed to shear or break off easily on contact.
Well, that explains why you see light poles lying down alongside the highway, I guess. I always thought a really high wind just picked them up and tossed them over.
Well, that might have happened, but most likely a car hit them and they just toppled over. Of course, that's the best way to make sure the force of impact doesn't affect your car.
Don't hit anything.
I like that.
Leave it to Judy to get right to the heart of the matter.
Why waste words?
Indeed. Okay, now, believe it or not, this is the last part of this little section. We're going to talk about the force of gravity.
Oh, no. Does this have to do with chins and other body parts?
Nope, just cars and roads.
I'm with you, friend. I've been thinking about standing on my head and seeing if I can't turn one of my chins into some more cheekbones.
Gravity is, as we all know, the force that attracts objects down toward the center of the earth. Now, how does that affect cars, for instance, going up hills?
It causes them to slow down, which decreases their stopping distance, I guess, right?
Yes, it does, but it also makes cars go faster when they head down the other side of the hill, which increases stopping distance. A good driver will cut his speed when descending a hill. What should you do on steep grades?
Pop it into a low gear, do that engine braking thing.
If I didn't know better, I'd think you guys were actually paying attention. That's right. Good to let your engine help you slow down rather than always relying on your brakes. Why else is a hill a potential driving hazard?
Well, it's hard to see.
Yes, visibility is limited. You should never pass on a hill or as you approach it, no matter how much slow-moving farm machinery is in front of you, unless there's a passing lane. As you crest the hill, you should be alert for approaching cars that may not be in their proper lane.
Because they were not smart enough to take wireless defensive driving.
That's right. You must also look out for what?
Obstacles in the road?
Like what?
Like a car stopped or waiting to make a left turn.
That's right. Remember, you must be able to stop your vehicle in the distance you can see ahead, either day or night. And speaking of night, that's all for this section.
Hello, students. There was a lot of tough information in this section on physics and driving. We really want you to pass this course, so log on to WirelessDefensiveDriving.com now and answer the quiz questions while the information is fresh in your mind. We can't start the timer for Section 7 until you do so do it now while you're thinking about it.